Well, hello, welcome again to a reading through of the Homeric Hymn to Apollo. And I got up to line 462. So at this stage, we have the sailors on board the boat, and Apollo now has appeared before them, now as back in human form, after having been a dolphin, and they're somewhat concerned. They're here against their will. And so it begins hos phato, and thus he spoke, and the eni goes with the etheka. So he placed in their breasts tharsos, courage, sphin for spisi, for them. Ton de abominos, Creton agos antion euda. So the agos is connected with ago. It means a leader. So the leader of the Cretans, in reply, spoke Antion face to face with him. So it addressed him directly, perhaps. Xene, O stranger, since you do not seem, with the oikos, you do not seem in any way, or you do not resemble, you are not like to in any way, katathnertoisi, to mortals. So since you do not resemble mortals in any way, udidemas uti fuain, neither in body nor in fuain stature. So presumably although he's got human form, presumably he's much taller. So neither in body nor in form, but, and I'm going to supply the verb again, you are like to the immortal gods. Ule te kai mega kaire. Ule, it's a funny word here. It means something like hail, and then mega kaire, literally rejoice greatly. So it's something like hail and welcome greatly. And then we get a wish, doyen, or cative from didomi, may the gods grant olbia, prosperous things, neuter plural, toi for soy, for you. May they grant prosperous things for you. The ule literally means be healthy, so it's that usual kind of expression you get. This is used only once in the Odyssey and nowhere else, this particular word. It's very rare. Kai moi tud agoruson, etertumon offre you edon, very Homeric, and speak this to me truly. It could be with the toot, this true thing, or this could be adverbial. It's a very Homeric expression. Speak this to me, perhaps truly, offra, so that I might know well. Tidemos. Now normally in Homer, demos means a land, and it may be here referring to a people. It's not immediately clear. In Homer it's generally land, but it could mean what people, because we get tisgeia, what land, and tines brotoi, and what people inhabit it. So what land and what mortals live there. Brotoi, what mortals live there. Ale ga from eon tes. So the ale is probably, we have to supply something like hodo, so another way. So it's literally thinking in another way. In other words, having something else in mind. Epi pleomen, we sailed on the megalitma. A litma is a gulf or a depth of the sea, generally always used of the sea. You could translate it as an expanse, might be nice here. So we sailed on the great expanse, understand, of the sea, to Pylos from Crete. And we boast to be of a race ends then from there. So we boast that our race is from there, our people, our generation is from there. Nunde, but now we have come down in this way with the boat, not in any way hekontes willingly. So not in any way willingly have we come down in here with this boat. We desiring, this is from Hiami. There are two Hiamis. This is the one meaning to desire or wish. So wishing or wanting nostu, a return back home, alain hodon, on another journey, and ala kelutha, on other paths. So they're there against their will. They had planned to do something else, but now they're desiring to return home, and then we get these accusative expressions here, something like on another journey, on other paths. Allah, but tis one of the immortals, Ag again, Aristomago, has brought us dure here, uk ethelontas, us not willing, so against our will. Tous dapame bominos pros ephe heca ergos Apollon. So in reply to them, the far worker Apollo said, so perhaps answering, the far worker Apollo replied to them, Xenoi, O strangers, toi for hoi, you who, amphinemeste, from amphinemai, to dwell around, you who dwell around Knossos with its many trees, so this of course is in Crete, and you did that previously, and that's quite emphatic, but in English we take that earlier. You who previously dwelt around Knossos with its many trees, but now there will not be eti, eth for eti, any longer, a hupotropoi, a returning home. This is an Homeric expression, autis again. So you used to live there, but there's not going to be any return home for you again. There will not be a return home into your Eretan Polin, to your beautiful city, and your lovely houses, each one of you. Funny use of hekastos here, but you often get this distributive use of hekastos. So we probably take it with earlier, so none of you will have a return home back again into your beautiful city and your lovely houses, and to your dear wives. Allah, very strong Allah here, but en thade, now the main verb is here, hexet, you will have here a pion neon, a rich temple, my rich temple, ekete, in the sense of you will inhabit, you will not just have, but you will live in my rich temple here. Tetimenon, very Homeric, it's a perfect participle from Tio, honoured by many men. Amy ego dios huios, and he finally comes to the point and tells them who he is. So I am the son of Zeus, I boast to be Apollo. Agagon, I brought you here, hupa megalitma thalasses, on the great, well again, depth of the sea, great expanse of the sea. Uti kakaphronion, literally not thinking bad things in any way, so not with bad intent. Allah, but again we get that use of hexete, and it's at the beginning of the line again, as we saw a couple of lines back, meaning you will have, you will look after, you'll live in my rich temple, and he repeats it, which my temple, which is Timion, which is honoured very much by all men. We would say, which will be honoured very much by all men. Audacity, and you will know the bulas, the plans of the immortals. Now the ioteti, again quite Homeric, by the will of whom. So by whose will continually. Time sas there, I think it's a future middle, possibly with passive sense here. You will be honoured, but it is actually middle future. So you will be honoured. It could mean you will honour my temple, which is probably better grammar, I think. So, but you will. So you either take it as middle for passive, you will be honoured, or you could take it as a middle, you will honour, and then the object of that being my temple. Diam Perez, through and through, so continually, amata panta, all days, so all your days, we'd say. Al ageth hos an ego apo petheste takista. Now, ageth for agete, this is idiomatic, but it's quite common. It simply means come. So it must be here, this must be, I think, an imperative. Obey quickly, so perhaps for hos tekista, as quickly as possible, obey. And then we get this ho, well, the hos really, I presume, must go with the paces there. And it's sort of whatever I might say. I found this line very confusing, really, and Richardson doesn't discuss it at all. So the meaning of it's clear. So, but come as quickly as possible, obey whatever things I might ask. But we have to supply some kind of relative in here. So as I might speak. So in other words, quickly do whatever I tell you. Histia men proton katheton lusanti boeas. Now these are duals here. This is very odd. We saw this back in line 456 where we had haston, a dual. There's more than two of them. Richardson on this point says that by this stage the dual, he says, may have been falling out of favour. Not quite sure of that, but that's what he says there. And he's using the dual here for the plural. In any case, it's odd. There's more than two sailors here. There's a number of them. But he uses, the author is using these dual forms here. So firstly, having undone the boeas, this is the oxhide ropes, kath heton and kathiami, let down the histia, let down the sails, let down the sails. You've got to, there's there's two words, one for sails and one for the mast. This is the sails here. Nea de peta noain an eperu erusas there. And then, so afterwards, so drag up the swift ship onto the mainland, onto the shore, onto the mainland. The ek will go with the heles there. Heles there, of course, from hyreo, and the root of it is hell, to take. So take out your ktemata, your possessions, and the entia. This is a neuter plural from entos, generally used in Homer of armour. Here it's the ship's tackle. This is a post-Homeric usage here. There are other words. You normally use hopla for the ship's tackle, but is using entia here for the ship's tackle. So take out your possessions and the tackle from the balanced ship. Kai poiesete, make a bomos, an altar, on the regmini, from reg miss, on the shore of the sea. Pour epikaiontes, and having burnt on it a fire, so having made a fire on it, thuontes, something like, well, sacrificing upon it, alphita luca, so this is white barley grains. It's one of the things you did as part of the sacrifice. Now we get eukestai, which is an infinitive, but Homer often uses infinitives for imperatives, and that's what we have here. It's in Homeric usage, infinitive for imperative. So then afterwards, standing around the altar, pray, hos men, so we get hos and another hos here for so pray, and we get a full stop here. So standing around the altar, afterwards pray. So it's since I, top proton is adverbial, first of all, having appeared on the misty sea, well, likened to a dolphin, perhaps for a dominos, likened to a dolphin on the misty sea, orusa, being lifted up, or having leapt on the swift ship. So since I at first, on the misty sea, leapt up onto the swift ship like to a dolphin, so since that, thus, pray, another infinitive for imperative, pray to me, Delphinios. Pray, this is a title here, you've got to supply Apollo Delphinios, or perhaps me the Delphinian, with a capital D. This cult of Apollo was common in the area, in this area, and also especially in Crete. And he says, Arte hobomos, and this very altar will continually be Delpheos, well, for Delphinios, so we'd have to say this altar will be called, it's just literally will be, Delphinios, the Delphian altar, kai epopsios. This may be simply conspicuous. The word takes on other meanings in later Greek, more religious meanings. It could also be a cult title meaning an overseer. I think I'm just going to take conspicuous here. So this very altar will always be Delphic, or Delphinius, or Delphic, and it will be epopsios, conspicuous. Richardson notes that Pausanias does not mention any altar here, and there doesn't appear to be any remains on this site of an altar. So this may just be simply myth here. Dape nasi, again another infinitive for imperative. Afterwards then, make dinner beside the swift black ship. Kai spacai, another infinitive from spendo, and pour libation to the blessed gods who hold or inhabit Olympus. There's that use of echo again, in the sense of living in, or having control of, or being in. Altar epain, and when, now this is very interesting, because this is a kind of Homeric expression, the use of x plus. This is from hiemi. It's a aorist middle subjunctive from hiemi, and used with eron, desire. Homer has a line which uses part of this expression here, which is a stock phrase in Homer, when you have ceased desire for food and drink. And it's been changed here. They've used part of the idea of the expression, but rewritten it completely, which is interesting. But whenever you have satisfied your desire, literally you've let go of your desire, it takes genitive, for food which is mellifrone, literally sweet to the mind, perhaps delicious or something like that. Another imperative for infinitive. So come along with me, and another infinitive for imperative, sing an ea pion. Well, this is a sort of victory song, a pion. It's mixed. It's got ea here plus the pion root. Ea is just an expression to screaming out ea, so it's to call out some kind of victory hymn. Ace ho until. Now we get these duals again. Just get another dual, and yet we get a plural here. Again, there's more than two people here, but they've used the dual probably for plural, maybe for the sake of meter, it's not clear. So until, literally the two of you, but there's many of them, might come into the land. Hina, that's that adverbial use of hina, where, hexete, you will have, literally, you will inhabit, you will look after my piona neon, my rich temple. And that is the next section of the hymn.